When you call 911, you expect an officer to respond quickly, but keeping up with problems in cities like Green Bay has been a challenge for police as they try to replace retiring officers in a timely manner. Fox 11's Laura Smith examines the department's struggle with manning the force.
The Green Bay Police Department hired 3 new officers in January. We caught up with the rookies during the department's rigorous 4-week mini academy.
It certainly is a challenge.
Chief Tom Molitor says the new recruits help swell the ranks, but admits manning the department isn't an easy job.
You have to be aware of how, when someone retires, that you have a system in place so that somebody is brought on as soon as possible after that retirement.
The chief says that usually takes about 2.5 months. And this year, there are even more hires to make after city leaders approved the addition of 6 officers. Right now, vacancies remain. The department is considered fully staffed at 192. Even with the new recruits, it falls short of that number by 5 officers. We asked if that compromises the department's ability to protect and serve.
It could mean that there's a delay in responding to some of the minor calls. There's impact that way, but I really don't believe that the public would notice that much of a difference as long as we have a base of officers.
They got to be told, do that right away.
Building on that base involves a lot of manpower and money.
You have to deal with a budget.
Molitor says a new officer costs about $80,000 to $100,000 in the first year.
You hire somebody, and that day that you hire them, you're paying their wages and all the wages of the people who are training them. And it takes 4 to 5 months before you feel the effects of that officer on the road.
Add that to the time it takes to figure out who is fit for the force. After applying and taking an initial test, it can be anywhere from 6 months to a year for a potential hire to go through all the tests and checks that the department requires before receiving a job offer.
When we look at the hiring process,
Lieutenant Chad Ramos says the turnaround time takes longer if a candidate doesn't meet the department's stiff standards and high expectations.
Candidate number 1 may not have been the perfect person. We may have tried them out. Maybe we found something in their background. Maybe through interviews, they didn't make it, okay? So we start to keep working down the list, so to speak, of the individuals that we have.
All of the instructors at the college told us that it was going to be a long process, and we were prepared for it somewhat. However, I didn't think it was going to take an entire year.
The new hires say it's a stressful time. Psychological exams, physical tests, and extensive background checks are just part of the hiring process.
There was 350 some odd applicants, and I applied in February, and I got hired in January the following year, so it's definitely a waiting process.
And once officers like Kyle Schroeder are sworn in, not only do they go through the month-long mini academy, they also spend their first 16 to 20 weeks on the job with a trainer. Looking at the overall timeline, I asked if the department's hiring approach is considered efficient.
It is being run as efficiently as we can. But then again, anytime you're going to hire somebody in law enforcement, you're going to take your time in evaluating that person. And so while some may want an immediate hire, if you will, we're going to do our due diligence.
The chief expects to fill out the ranks by April. He says he tries to have as close to the maximum staffing numbers heading into summer, the busiest season. But for this department, it's not just about the numbers.
Well-trained, efficient, skillful people can do a lot of things as well. So just having sheer numbers doesn't always make things easier, if you will. It's making sure that the numbers that you have are well trained and prepared to do the job.
In Green Bay, Laura Smith, Fox 11 News.
Tomorrow, Laura will provide a behind-the-scenes look at that training that new officers face.